Hello and welcome back to the Note. I'm afraid it's been a day of tragedy, of carnage on the streets of Brussels and of almost total calm on the streets of world markets. World bonds and stocks almost totally unaffected by this news. Now, that isn't because people in the markets don't care about this. It's because, unfortunately, this was a tragedy that it was very easy to see coming, and therefore that many people had budgeted for, had planned in their scenarios. To show this perhaps most clearly, let's take a look at the VStocks index, which is an index which looks at the extent to which people are guarding against future volatility in the stocks index of European equities using options. And as you can see, fear on this gauge is actually really still very low and has barely ticked up today. Again, plainly because there is great anxiety about the migrant crisis and so on, but this is not seen as anything that particularly changes the calculus. We knew this could easily happen, and unfortunately it has. If you want one significant exception to this, however, let's take a look at what happened to sterling compared to the euro, and you can see the euro very counterintuitively strengthened a lot against the pound. Now, the reason for that is that Britain has its so-called Brexit referendum on whether to leave the European Union coming up in June. And the mere fact that this happened, the images that will have been broadcast onto British television screens, does have a political impact. It will be seen, I think correctly, as improving the political chances that Britons do indeed leave the European Union, because this will be seen as the kind of event that is less likely to happen in the UK if it leaves Europe, if there is less of an influx of migrants towards the UK. That weakens sterling because it's widely felt on the markets that a Brexit would lead to uncertainty, would be harmful to the British economy. Outside of the UK, I think if you were actually to see an atrocity like this in the US between now and the election, that similarly could have a very big impact. The mere fact of it happening could change perceptions. It was very interesting that Donald Trump actually said on stage last week that the atrocities in San Bernardino and in Paris had helped him in the polls, and I think he was right that there was a causal link there. If you were to see an atrocity like this on the American mainland, it would dramatically affect the calculus for the presidential election and hence the markets. But for today, the markets outside of sterling have been very calm, and that is because, very sadly indeed, this was a tragedy that had been widely foretold.